Phoenix here, bringing you guys the weekend recap, specifically, of course, the Sunday one. The Saturday video has already been uploaded. And what is there to say? A weekend unlike any other. The best performing weekend for the algorithm. Everything basically came to fruition. A sensational hit rate, both in terms of spoilers as well as correct outcomes. I am beyond thrilled. Hard work pays off, and we continue making incredible chiching babbling. But of course, today we're here to talk about exactly how I got it right and how the games went, and the things I also didn't foresee. Because of course, there's always stuff that we didn't see coming. But we'll begin, of course, with the main event. Liverpool fans. Donde estás? Donde estás? How much abuse I have received over the past year, despite me telling you game after game, I don't like what I see. I wasn't liking it. It was very obvious if you actually paid attention. But as always, with the modern football fan, results come first. You know, this is amplified because of the amount of money Liverpool have spent. But this idea that this has begun this season couldn't be any further from the truth. I mean, this has been going on for at the very least an entire calendar year, entirety of 2025. So this, what's happening here is not because, Nunes has left or Luis Diaz has left. Watch those players. Watch Luis Diaz. Go and see him in that game against Dortmund and then come back to me, okay? If you think that's the reason why you're struggling. Trent, yeah, there's definitely merit there, of course. He's a bigger loss than most of you realized. But let's be honest, it's been going on for much longer than that. And the fact of the matter is, everything I've told you before it has come to fruition, because at the end of the day, Arne Slot isn't good enough. And last season, he relied on referees. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Lack of competition and building off of what Klopp had already kind of left for him, and an unbelievably lucky season, great and lucky, by Mo Salah. I say lucky because, let's be honest, I mean, everything he was touching was turning into gold. It was crazy, deflections, assists, ricochets, you name it. And ultimately, those that failed to see and acknowledge that are now in shock and surprise. I'm not. But, of course, this is even worse than even I expected, because make no mistake about it, the table is extremely generous to Liverpool. How Liverpool have 15 points, I will never know. Liverpool should be somewhere here. They should be somewhere there. And when it comes to now implementing his own ideas, he doesn't have a clue. As soon as I seen this lineup, I couldn't believe my eyes. We were there watching, of course, all the football matches yesterday, and it comes out again. No Ekitike. So, if you've watched the international matches, right, go look what Isaac was doing for Sweden. Go look at what Ekitike was doing for France. And also, he didn't start the game against Iceland, by the way, Ekitike. He got like 5 minutes in that game, so he was fully fresh. And yet, come the weekend, Isaac starts. I'm not being reactionary, of course. I mean, I called this out immediately as soon as I seen the lineups live on stream. So, that immediately, and again, what kind of message does that send to Ekitike? Because it's not just a recent form thing, right? I mean, this guy, what more do you want him to do in a Liverpool shirt as well? Forget about what I said about France, Sweden. What more do you want from him in a Liverpool shirt? And as soon as he came on, by the way, the game changed. I mean, he livened up that Liverpool attack. He's fearless. He's always there looking for the ball. He's a better man than me, I'll tell you that much, because if I keep getting left out game after game like that, I'd be like, you know what, Slow, F you can get sacked with the way you are treating me. But chapeau to Ekitike, worked his socks off, came off the bench, and made a difference. The no verts. If there's a game that's meant for verts, it would have been this one, And Slot there crying and moaning. about United low block and this and that. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest sore losers as well you'll ever see, Hank Schrader. Okay, so if you knew Manchester United were coming out in a low block, surely, surely you play verse. But this is how clueless this guy is. Because all of a sudden, as soon as results are going wrong, he reverts to what he thinks worked last season, but it never actually worked. You're telling me this guy's a number 10. On what planet is this guy a number 10? How can this guy be considered your number 10? Because he runs. What's his use in a low block? Absolutely useless player. And it's the same story now where like all of a sudden, as soon as he realized that, oh, I can't implement the new signings well enough, I'll just revert back to what worked last season. But worked isn't in inverted commas because it never actually did. Crazy stuff, honestly. And if you're going to continue with this 4-2-3-1, and I've obviously already put several different formations of what Liverpool should do in previous videos, if you're not going to do the 4-3-1-2, if you're not going to try the 3-4-2-1, which is obviously a lot harder with not getting Gueye and Leone's injury, if you're going to continue with this, he has to get benched. I've told you already in a previous video when this Salah will not work with a proper number 9, especially in his current stage of his career. 10 years ago, maybe. Now especially, it will never work. And it's also what's blocking Salah in a way. I mean, asking Salah to be a touchline winger in his current state, it doesn't make any sense. And that's what's happening when you have a number 9. Salah wants to attack the space that Isaac is occupying. With Ekitike, it probably works a little bit better. But with Isaac, I don't see how this works. And I told you this warning sign was there already way before. But of course, the Isaac signing never made any sense to begin with. The midfield problem that Liverpool have, it's a huge issue. And I told you, go look at my video that I put for Liverpool's transfer window, what it should have looked like. A defensive midfielder should have been a necessity. It was crazy to think that you're going to go into this season with the same midfield two from last season with nobody really there if either of them aren't on it. And McAllister, of course, the less said about him, the better. And then you have the fullbacks who, of course, are as atrocious as they have been in recent form. So, you know, the Trent loss, no doubt about it, it's a huge impact. Van Dijk, not a clue what he was doing in that first goal. The fact that Mbeumo went down and Van Dijk is jogging back while Mbeumo was sprinting, that tells me all I need to know. The only Liverpool player yesterday that could leave with his head held high is Konate. I thought he bounced back from the recent few bad games he's had, and I thought he was impeccable in that game yesterday. But of course, it wasn't enough. And with no Alisson as well to bail Liverpool out, and that's something that's been happening even before Slot arrived. They got exposed because I think Ali saves that first shot, to be fair. For Manchester United, let's begin with the goalkeeper. Wow. I didn't know much about him. I confess before he arrived. I can't not help but take shots at Amorim, because of course, he done well yesterday, but why on God's green earth did it take him that long to put him in? That, for me, he still has to be held accountable for that. The thing that impressed me the most with him yesterday was actually a save that he didn't even make. It was that Salah miss. It was a bad miss by Salah. But how quickly he came out and closed the angle, that is something I haven't seen from a Manchester United goalkeeper since, maybe not even Edwin, probably since Peter Schmeichel. Like someone that comes out in that manner. And it's almost like this new generation of goalkeepers. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between him and Joan Garcia at Barcelona. Very brave, very aggressive, and they're willing to take risks. And as a goalkeeper, you have to take risks. Maguire, of course, making up for that miss in that fixture last year. I love football for those kind of moments, man. That was That was incredible. And he keeps popping up with these super important goals. But he was fantastic even without the goal. I thought Luke Shaw was incredible. Delict was good. That backline was good. Ahmad impressed me a lot as well, even before he came off. Because, of course, it's not easy. Dalot looked much better when he shifted to the right. But my God, man. Brainless footballer. Uh, and up front, I don't care. Listen, and Mbeumo scored. I couldn't listen. I don't care. This guy was a demon, an absolute demon. The stuff that he was doing, wow, wow, wow. There was moments where it looked like the ball was genuinely glued to his feet. The issue United have, though, whether they like to admit it or not, and I'm still waiting on an apology from Jamie Carragher. As soon as Casemiro is out, there's a dip in the performance. That is clear and obvious. Obviously, they still need that midfielder, which they haven't got. And Ugarte Bruno just doesn't work. It just doesn't work as well. I thought Bruno yesterday, good in the first half, awful in the second half. I don't know if he got the assist, but like that was an awful second half from him. The question with United is, of course, can they build on this? It's a big, big win. It is 2 in a row. It took Amorim basically a full year to get the 2 in a row. Next up against Brighton. Can they deliver? It's huge. It's so important that they do. But we'll see. I've always told you, United have good players. I'm definitely still not convinced by the manager. But their first win at Anfield, it was since the 15-16 season, has to be applauded. The other game in the Premier League, we go absolutely spot on. Well, almost absolutely. I said 3-1 Villa. It finished 2-1 Villa. I wasn't surprised. If you put the combined 11s between the Villa Spurs team, Villa win that easily. We done it yesterday. They win 7-4, and there's a clear discrepancy in midfield. Kamara was lovely to watch. That second goal that Villa scored, by the way, that's as good as it gets. So full credit to Villa and Unai Emery for bouncing back. With Spurs, there are severe issues here. Obviously, the striker is number one. I think with Colomwani, he needs to be given a run of games now, because even Colomwani at 50% is definitely way better than Matthias Tell or Richarlison. Xavi Simons, I try to warn you. Again, you didn't listen. He's just not good enough. A footballer as well that irritates me with the way he behaves on the pitch. Yesterday, he spent more of his time crying with the referee and this and that. Get on with it, honestly. Who does he think he is? He has an ego. He's achieved nothing in his career. And as soon as we seen Romero not playing, not that Danso played bad, although how on earth was that not a sending off and a penalty for Villa? I have no idea. But as soon as Romero was out, I'm like, okay, this convinces me. And also, Odogoi, by the way, continues to be one of the most disrespected players for Spurs. He's so good for them. I like Spence, but there is a drop-off when he's not playing. And this double pivot, I've tried to say, at home, Spurs will continue to struggle when Lucas Bergvall doesn't start. It's not that Lucas Bergvall is immune to bad games, but he has to play, because those two at home, it's never ever gonna work. I don't care that they combined for the goal. I couldn't care less. I was saying that live on stream. I wasn't worried when Spurs took the lead. It was inevitable Villa will turn it around, and that's exactly what they done. Then shifting to Italy, by the way, so much low scoring games. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but there was one that we got again absolutely spot on in the Como versus Juventus game. Fabregas was suspended, but he was conducting the orchestra all the way from the stands in front of Thierry Henry, Wenger, and Rafael Varane. This Como project is about to become very interesting. Yesterday, to be fair, I thought, obviously, Juventus changed formation. I've been asking for Juve to change formation. I thought they looked much better in a back four. They got a little bit unlucky, but Como were the deserved winners because they had a difference maker and they have a very special player. No idea what Real Madrid are going to do with this, because him and Goulet are way too similar. You could even argue, I don't know if Bellingham pass Goulet. I don't know how that will work. They have some big decisions to make. But one thing I'm telling you, this guy is a bona fide superstar. And the difference between him and Goulet, his physicality. His physicality allows him to score those type of goals he scored in the second goal there, where he's withstanding and resisting to then deliver an incredible shot. Difference maker, and Como defended so good. This is why, for me, I'll continue to disrespect Amorim, because what Fabregas is doing here, he came out yesterday, changed formation, played a 3-5-1-1. I wasn't expecting that. The top managers, they are willing to adjust and adapt based on the opposition. And Fabregas outcoached Tudor yesterday, clearly. Tudor changed formation. It worked better for Juve, but they were still lacking ideas. They were still lacking, to some degree, an identity. And they have a big problem here. Tudor has to go. As an Inter fan, I hope he stays for as long as possible, but it was delusional to go into this season with him in charge to begin with, which shows how far Juventus have fallen. But it's the striker issue that they have. They continue with Jonathan David, clueless player. And the problem with the back four is it takes a little bit out of Yildiz, because Yildiz plays his best football centrally. But we'll see what happens. They've got Real Madrid coming up next. That it'll be very interesting to see what formation he'll play in that game. Then in Italy, there was the game where I said obviously Milan will win in my spoilers video, but then I changed it. I changed it during kickoff. When I seen the lineups, I went 1-1. In truth, it was the toughest game to call, it ended up being, because Milan won. I mean, that Milan team, right? Obviously, as soon as I seen it, I'm like, and I seen the bench. The bench was atrocious. I'm like, I don't see how they're going to win. And in truth, I probably should have been correct, because the penalty that they got was never a penalty. But I'm getting concerned now as an Inter fan, because they won with all these players missing. If they're all going to be fully integrated, Milan are still finding a way to win. Obviously, Leao had been waiting a very long time to score a goal. He got two, including a well-taken penalty. Then it's time to get a little bit concerned. But I must confess, with VAR, how on earth that penalty gets given, it's a disgrace. But Milan got the job done. That's all that matters for them. And then, of course, the final game that we watched was the one between Getafe and Real Madrid. The game before El Clasico, Real Madrid have been really good in getting results, and that's exactly what we've seen again, especially in these type of teams. There's big question marks when they play better opposition. But this, of course, was never going to be for the faint-hearted. That 5 at the back, we know how Getafe approach these games. Real Madrid conceded, though, too much. Even when Getafe went down to 9, they had a big chance. If it wasn't for Courtois, they would have conceded. I thought Militao was really good for Real Madrid. He's almost getting back to his level. But when it's playing a back 5 like that, you cannot play with that midfield. There was no creativity whatsoever. And if Goller didn't come on and Vinicius didn't come on, they were the difference makers. Camavinga, he wins the ball well, but when he has the ball in his feet, especially in those type of games, his limitations are exposed. His passing ability was atrocious. And I said, can Goller and Bellingham play together? That's the biggest question Xabi has to now try and solve. Because it's against Barcelona. Does he have the balls to come out with Bellingham, Goller, Tchouameni? That's the million-dollar question. Mastantuono wasn't good yesterday. And Rodrigo, I must confess, man, like, I'm a big Rodrigo fan, but I don't understand why you're given stars now in your preferred position and he's unable to take advantage. It's painful to watch. And credit to Vinny and Goller, because they came on and changed the game. Vinicius, he antagonized the Getafe players and got 2 players basically sent off. And that ended up allowing Goller to slide Mbappe through, and Mbappe finishes. It wasn't a good game by Mbappe coming off an injury, but he still delivered. And him, Kane, and Haaland continue this inevitable feeling that you get when you watch them, where they're always going to score, which is sensational. I want to give a shout out as well to Messi and Ronaldo, by the way, this weekend, because it felt like we're back in 2015. Ronaldo delivering, Messi responding with a hat-trick. Incredible to watch. My team of the week was as follows. Lemons in goal. Reece James, Maguire, Schlotterbeck, and Grimaldo. Schlotterbeck, despite conceding 2 goals, was absolutely fantastic. Upamecano unlucky to miss out. Kamara, Even O'Reilly unlucky to miss out. I put Kamara as my holding midfielder. Kimmich, Pedri could have also been in. Then I had Greenwood, Kane, and Nico Pass. Kane basically played in midfield. And the two up front, Erling Haaland, Mr. Inevitable, as well as Jean-Philippe Mateta. For my flops, I went with Vicario in goal. If you look, I think he could have done better for the first goal. Pedro Porro, atrocious. Dumfries lucky to miss out on this because I've told you, I've got my eyes on him. He's playing awful at the moment. Kubarsi, the man Barcelona fans said will be better than Bastoni. He should be not even starting for Barcelona. He should be nowhere near that El Clasico lineup. Kerkes becoming basically a mainstay. Him and McAllister. Gusto in midfield. I don't care that Chelsea won 3-0. Atrocious footballer. Xavi Simons in my number 10. Salah on the right. Horrific. Luis Diaz on the left. And again, up front, some familiar faces. Jonathan David, as well as Isaac. Let me know anything you disagree with when it comes to the flops 11 as well as the starting 11. What a beautiful weekend. Tomorrow, Champions League spoilers. Let's continue this momentum. I'll catch you guys in the streams tomorrow, early kickoff. Barca Olympiacos, as well as the spoilers video. Have a good one. Phoenix. No. Midas. No. Oracle.